So obviously, the way the last episode went down, it was going to cause some controversy. The goaltending carousel obviously was, we'll go with questionable, but, you know, when your top goaltender is underperforming, when you know he would be performing like a Vezina winner if he was on the other team, when your top line, that has been so good all season long, just shuts down and refuses to show up, yeah, it's gonna cause either you keep the team the same and you hope for the best and hope that something changes, or you try to spark something by changing things around. Regardless, the end result is the same. We're out. We lost, and it's not ideal, is it? It really isn't. It's still Spencer Knight's net moving forward. He still had a decent, win percentage, all things considered, but yeah, no, just not what we were looking for. And again, Jonathan Huberdeau, you can look at these numbers and for some of them be like, that's okay, but obviously Huberdeau, Barkov, Tippett, so much of the damage that they did was in that first round. And then you see defensively how some of these guys just fell apart, especially like Achari and Howerluck. It's very disappointing. That's really all you can say. It is incredibly disappointing to see how this team fell apart. And now it brings us to an off-season of, again, uncertainty. We don't yet know how things are going to go down. Now, in terms of contracts, we'll see what happens with the likes of Dostal, Persvetov. Craig Anderson's obviously going to go. I expect him to retire. And actually, we can take a look here at some stats, mainly for one Lucas Dostal, who was okay in Springfield. At his age, it is probably worth re-signing him. He's an RFA anyway. Wants a one-way deal. So we will do that, but give him a dirt cheap contract. And then with Ivan Persvetov, if we could go 1 year at that term or that number, that would be pretty damn good. And we should be good to go there. Defensively, oh God. Mikhail Sergachev needs a new contract. That is not good. How much money do we have to work with again? $17 million. Okay, are there any other big deals up? Denisenko, Hunt, and Hutsko. Sergachev has to be the top priority here. I'd say he has to be. We might as well just try to get him for the full 8. And again, this is his RFA contract, so obviously this is going to be big-time money here. We can knock that down to 10,775. And then what are we dealing with Denisenko? Vincent Trocheck gets traded at the draft is what this is screaming to me right now. I think Vinny gets traded from the looks of it. Sergachev, I don't even know if any defenseman in this game, because of how it plays, is worth that amount of money, but we're going to try to re-sign him. But yeah, we're going to have to make a move. Riley Stillman's an interesting case, just because we don't know how well he's going to fit in with the new coach, but we might as well look to bring him back, at least as an AHL staple. Max Gilden is smart enough to want a one-way deal. We'll pretty much just sign him to that. It's fine by me. He'll stick around for a bit. Allard, we're probably just going to drop. Strand will probably drop at this point. Ludwig. We got to look to bring you back. Might as well just sign you to that. That's quick and easy. And then from there, forward-wise, Denisenko. We're going to wait. Logan Hutsko. Oof. That's a rough deal, especially because we're not going to really be able to save that much money on this particular contract. So what he's looking like long-term, I don't exactly know. We can drop that down to 255, but obviously he goes nowhere. Cliff Poo, I'm not against keeping, especially if we can sign him for that cheap. Clutterbuck, Ryan are going to go. Xavier Lowe will sign his ELC. Left wing wise, I don't know about Dryden Hunt. Excuse me. Saron Noel. we might as well sign to that right there. That looks good to me. And then center-wise, Achari and Lewis. I do want to probably try to bring back Jonathan Ong. Probably. Just see if we can sign him to that. And then Nikkanen as well. We could look to sign long-term. And we'll see how those deals go through. Now, we are going to be firing our head coach, more than likely. And we have to, just for the issues that we have on the defensive side of things. As Sergachev has re-signed, Ong is back. Pooh, Stillman, Noel, Prosvetov, Ludwig, Hutsko, Gilden, Dostal, Nikkanen, every single player re-signed, which is tremendous news for us. But because of the chemistry issues that we have with our young defensemen and our current head coach, a change simply has to be made. And it indeed will be. Now again, Grigory Denisenko, we're going to have to either look to let him go, which is not happening, or we look at moving on from Vinny Trocheck, which really we have to, because again, the top 6 right now is set. Trocheck's the odd man out, so Vinny's gonna be on his way out here. Excuse me again, I just can't clear my throat. And then third line this year, the upcoming season, we're looking at Hunt, Hutsko, and I don't know, because I don't know if Achari is going to be back. We have Hauerluck, we have Schwint. We have, Jonathan Ong could be given a shot. Noel's still in the mix. Honestly, I might get rid of Saron Noel at the draft. I don't know what that fourth line is going to be exactly next year. So it's kind of a weird spot to be in. I do want to bring back Dryden Hunt, depending on the price. He's 28 years old at this point. Solid third liner. Good for at least 10 goals. No reason to really not keep him, especially if the price is down, which it is. I'm good with 3 years if he is good on dropping that price just a little bit down to 2.25. Tea time. With that, I think we're good until the day after the draft when we figure out what we're going to be doing with Denisenko. So, in the meantime, let's go to manage staff. You know what? Let's not. Let's wait until we know that there's actually a better head coach out there. That's probably a safer bet. So, Dryden Hunt has re-signed, and again, we will hope to get Grigory Denisenko as well. Time will ultimately tell. But yeah, a very, very disappointing postseason run as the Sabres go all the way to the final. They win the Stanley Cup. And it really feels like that could have been us, maybe should have been us, especially after, again, 58 wins. But they were the second best team in the league. It's that President's Trophy curse that just comes back to haunt you. We can build a good team for the regular season, but we just can't build a team for the playoffs. They beat Vegas in 6 games in the final. Springfield lost to the Lehigh Valley Phantoms in the second round, who went on to lose to the Ontario Reign in the Calder Cup final. I was going to look at Buffalo's stats, but obviously that is a little bit unnecessary. Which, is what it is. We know who's on that team. So there you go. Buffalo wins for the second time in 4 seasons. We have won the President's Trophy 3 times in the past 5 seasons and have nothing to show for it. Pasternak wins the Art Ross. Sergachev won the Hart, for God's sakes, and we didn't. Oh my God, he won the Norris as well, of course. That's the third time in 4 seasons, third time in 4 seasons we've had the Norris winner. Absolutely brutal. It really was. Rasmus Dahlin won the Conn Smythe. Spencer Knight won the Vezina. Oh my God. And the Jennings. I don't know. You can certainly debate whether or not, wow, Sergachev won the Ted Lindsay as a defenseman, and Tippett won the Rock, and we friggin', oh my God. How did we have that good of a season on an individual level and as a unit, and still we could not win? That is a fantastic season by every metric. And we still fell short. That is so So brutal. Such a tough pill to swallow. Wow. To have that good of a season and still not get back to at least the final like we did in Season 1. As you see the lottery results, the New Jersey Devils move up big time. For some reason, they have a tendency to do that, huh? Draft class-wise, I'm not even really concerned because we don't know what picks we're going to have. Player retirements. Eric Stahl. Phil Kessel. And granted, Stahl played quite a few more games than Kessel, but still, that's impressive. Had more, significant number of goals over Kessel as well. Defensively, Shea Weber finishes with a Satan-approved amount of points. Carl Alsner also just outright retired. Goalie-wise, Lundqvist. Sergei BobGONEsky has retired. There is your Grigory Denisenko money. Vincent Trocheck might just be staying. Bob retires with 2 years left at $9.9 million. Oh, thank God. Whew. All right. We have some maneuverability here. Sergei BobGONEsky retires off the back of a defeat to the Sabres. That's kind of what I was hoping for, was that we'd see him continue to decline in overall and retire, and that is exactly what happened. Bob is gone. We are off the hook for that contract. We also saw a bunch of AHLers that we had signed this year retire. That is outrageously good news for us. Off the back of a brutal loss, we're out from underneath that damn BobGONEsky contract, finally. Gaspard Vlasic retired. I'm pretty sure that was our head coach. So we are going to need a new head coach as well. This is turning out to be, holy Finnish domination. Jesus. This is turning out to be a pretty damn eventful episode already. As, of course, the top 5 looks great. Even that dude outside of the top 5. Oh, my God. This draft. Jesus. There's a frickin' Romanian. Skylar McCarty. All right, you know what? There are players I probably should take a better look at. Let's just... I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, like, cap-wise, what the situation is now, if we're still trading people or not. So let me take a look at Grigory Denisenko here. Yeah, we're still showing up with only $5 million left. So I don't know if it wasn't... Oh, God. Was it factoring in the BobGONEsky retirement before? Because now I'm concerned that we might have to make a move. Because Sergachev's deal obviously kicked in. We still need to look to trade Michael Matheson. Ideally, because we have Morrow, Kessler, Smirnoff, and Connolly. And we're just going to play those 4 at the NHL level and hope it gets them to develop. So I still think we're going to be trading Michael Matheson. So I think for now we can survive with Vinny Trocheck being our third-line center for 1 more year, which is phenomenal news for us. So let's go to the draft, and we'll see what we're dealing with in terms of potential moves that can be made. We're going to go to the trade finder first and foremost, and we're going to see, number 1, what draft picks we have. We have our 27th and the 58th overall pick. Not too bad. So goalie-wise, Spencer Knight's still the man for us. I think goaltending-wise, we're going to want Wallin to start. So I think it needs to be a combination of Justice and Dostal at the NHL level as the backup. So Prosvetov probably has to go. Yeah, if we can get anything for him here, even a 6th and a 7th, a 5th and a 7th from Ottawa works. We got to move on from him because we are signing Wallin. So he'll be the AHL starter. These two will both be at the NHL level. Anderson's obviously going to go. I can't believe Craig Anderson didn't retire. Can I get anything for him? No, I can't. And we'll find someone below a 72 to work with Wallin in Springfield. Wallin, I think it's a V technically. So defensively, again now it's Sergachev, Ekblad, Morrow, Kessler, Connolly, Smirnoff. It's time to see if we can get anything half decent from Michael Matheson, who just turned 30 years old. We held on to him for the majority of that contract. A 1-for-1 for Chris Tierney. Obviously, I'm more interested in picks. A second, a third, Matt Philippe's. The rights to Sebastian Aho, who we cannot afford. Second, a fourth, and Foligno. 2 second-round picks from Minnesota could be nice in terms of what we could do in this draft. I don't want Kevin Hayes. First rounder from Philly and a third. I'd rather take the Minnesota deal so that Matheson is less likely to bite me in the playoffs. I don't know how good that player is from the Leafs. I don't want to send him to the Leafs either. I really don't. Or Washington, for that matter. Christian Vesalainen's on a really expensive deal. I think the 2 second-round picks from Minnesota is our best bet. We can send Matheson out west. We're going to do that. Let's take a look, though, really quickly, just to see what the value is, just to make sure we're good. I really like Michael Matheson. He hasn't been that bad for us. I believe he's got, 2 years left? But we got to move on. And we need to free up some cap. There we go. I had a feeling I could get an extra pick. So Michael Matheson is unfortunately caught in the crossfire here. But in terms of how, medium top 4 defensemen develop, we're going with the youth. And we're going to see if they develop by getting primetime ice time. That's the defense right there. And we can make changes if we have to from there. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Ludwig can stay. Even though it's a good shot, he's never going to be an NHLer. Yeah, New Jersey's going to make their pick anyway. They took Ottoson. So Matheson is sacrificed. He had to be anyway. We have $20 million available. Obviously, that's plenty of money to sign Denisenko. It wasn't an issue of not being able to afford Matheson. It's more, we need these guys to develop. And I just don't know if the AHL is the right space for them. I think we just throw them into the Lions' den at the NHL level, because that's pretty much where they are right now anyway. So that's the game plan there. To be honest, getting something for Ludwig would be a better way to go. Like, he's going to be a depth defenseman at best, and would I rather get then again, lower pick steals this year aren't as good either. You know what, we'll keep him. Wingers, obviously now we have all the money in the world to sign Denisenko with. And we still have some things to figure out with this team. But thankfully, the financial side of things, that's not one of them. I don't know what to do with Saron Noel. I don't know if I want him to be a fourth liner or not. He should, in theory, continue to be a good fourth liner for us. But, time will tell if that proves to be the case. And then we have to decide if we want Achari back as well as our fourth line center, now that we know Vinny Trocheck is going to be staying on our third line for at least one more season. Obviously, the Bob trade is huge for us. So, in terms of what pick we could possibly trade for, Edmonton at 9. Who is on the board around that 9th overall pick spot? We would be looking at Commodore. Listed as a gem, confirmed medium elite. The overall is not amazing, but then there's also Jalen Kavanaugh, who does have the overall, just not as high of a potential. But you talk about picking up Commodore, and things could go very, very well for us. I just don't know if we're going to be able to use all of our draft picks to make one big move, or if there are some players, kind of like Ross Powell. Don't know how good he is, though. I could have done my due diligence on that, but it's okay. You also have Rob Donovan, who looks to be pretty damn good. Basically, it's do we go for a couple of later round steals, like Grant David, or do we trade up for one big dog? That's the question. And from the looks of it, that one big gem option might not be the worst. There are some decent options late, but if we can trade up with Edmonton, we look to do so. I hit down an A. Thank you, menu lag. I really don't want to trade for that pick. Thank you. Sim options. There we go. Henry Tius goes to Pittsburgh. Can we get a deal done with Edmonton to get that medium elite prospect who would give us a very, very valuable asset, worth more than what this pick is going to be to trade for it? Quite far off, you say. That's fine. What if we give up another second? Oh, cool. A first and 2 seconds to move up to the 9th. I'll take that. That was actually relatively cheap. So we'll see if that dude's still on the board. Engren's off the board. We're good. We are good. So with this pick, we know he doesn't have as high of an overall as Kavanaugh or Sherdev. Particularly Kavanaugh. He's 3 years out, but he's a medium elite. He's going to have that value. So either is really worth taking, but really because of the value, we're going to take Yarrow Commodore, the 18-year-old American, and that'll give us a big negotiation piece if we, say, look to move a top 6 option and need some extra value. He's a 65, which is pretty brutal, but it is what it is. And then from there, I mean, obviously we could trade up again. We're not really going to have the value to move up right now to get anybody with those mid picks. Like McCarty would be on the board, Skylar West or Preston West, and it's Skylar McCarty. Not looking all that good. You know what? I have to Google this right now. It's going to be an anonymous or an incognito tab. Why do I have a feeling someone's going to be like, oh, you said Skylar West, that's a porn star. It's not, actually. Okay, good. Thank God. Whew. Dodge that bullet. Because that was just a moment of misspeaking on my part. Anyway, any of these guys worth trading for? We don't have anybody confirmed in a medium elite. There was Powell. We don't know for sure. Bernd Appelschauser. Also okay. Rob Donovan at 25. Could be worth it. Where's that defenseman? Grant David. So we're looking at the end of the first round. End of the first round seems to be the place to be to get that defenseman. I know what you're saying. You don't need another defenseman. It won't hurt to get another one, though, will it? Because the odds that the 4 guys that we have actually stick around, probably quite slim, don't you think? And there was this goalie, Stefan Daze, who we could also look to target. So let's see if we have the assets to trade for a pick here. We got to go for Washington's to play it safe. Do we still have the assets to get this done? Yeah, look at the value for Commodore. Huge. We can compare it to what the value ends up being for who we passed up on. But just to check here, Sarah Noel really could help if we need him to help here. Ludwig and Nikkanen are 2 players I just don't think are going to make it. You know, especially compared to Cole Schwint, they're a bit too far behind. So if we give up these 2, that should help with the value a little bit. Let's add in our 3rd rounder. Quite far off still. That's not surprising. Obviously, I want to try to hold on to that second 2/3. Quite close to fair value. Perfect. And let me add in a 5th round pick as well. Is that good enough? Thank you very much, Washington. Ludwig and Nikkanen. Looked forward to having you both on the team, but you didn't develop fast enough. So we are going to be going. We have our forward. Now we have our defenseman. We're taking Grant David from the Regina Pats. No weaknesses. A Chara comparison. Probably a medium 4 rather than an elite. But a 77 overall. So he'll go the next 2 years without being signed because he's a junior guy. And then he can step up and replace anybody that fails to actually develop. So, yeah, the defensive situation in theory is looking phenomenal. And next up we have Daze in the mid-40s. So what I want to do here, oh my god, that's not what I want to do. Game, your menu lag is out of control sometimes. Sim that pick, and sim that pick. And then we go back into the first round. And we look at Kavanaugh in Chicago. Just to see what his trade value, I could have stayed there, that's fine. To see what his trade value ultimately was. And how it compares to who we took. And yeah, clearly we made the right choice. Kavanaugh's good, but oh yeah, we made the right choice. Not even a debate. So we're looking at picks in the 40s. So obviously 32, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3. We'll go with this pick from the Rangers just to play it safe. That's 43rd overall. And we, of course, had the 58th, so let's just tack on a ton of stuff in the later rounds that we're never going to use. That didn't want to go through. That's okay. How about that nice shiny 4th rounder? Really, New York? You're going to play hardball? That's what we're going to do. We're going to play hardball here. Thank you very much. So we have a forward for the future, potentially, or at least a good trade piece. Another defenseman of the future. Now it's time to get who could be another goalie of the future, or at least a good trade piece. He's undersized, so probably a trade piece. It is going to be Stefan Daze. Is he a medium elite? Yes, he is. Tremendous. Tremendous. So 2 very good trade pieces if we need them. We also pick up David to join a young fleet of promising defensemen behind Sergei and Ekblad. Again, Michael Matheson no longer here. Sergei BobGONEsky no longer here. But we're still looking okay. I don't know how I feel about the Matheson deal, but that's just because we're so uncertain as far as, what this defense is going to look like moving forward and whether or not these kids are actually going to develop. So, Anaheim, I really wanted that 2nd round pick next year. Can I get Arizona's 2nd round pick next year? Rejected. Damn. Back to Anaheim, I guess. Or Arizona, that's fine. How about a 3rd and a 4th next year? It was worth a shot. How about a 3rd and a 6th next year? Thank you very much. So we are out of this draft. I feel pretty much good to go. I know I didn't really even check, but I mean, I don't know. I just here. Let's see if I messed up by getting rid of stuff. I doubt it. I'd love to be proven wrong. Like, the physical play of that guy. Maybe Myers is good. Obviously, there was a gem right here. Not that good. DeAndre Smith-Pelly. I mean, the argument of whether or not... Okay, hey, there you go. There was one person left. He's 20, though. So, even then, I don't feel that great about it in terms of, was there anybody left in this draft? Holden Skinner, 18. He's probably going to be decent. Potentially screwing myself out of some good players, but I'm not really seeing anybody else where it's like, oh yeah, no, I should have held on to those picks. And it's just because they neutralized the effectiveness of later steals. It's not that you can't find them. They're certainly there. But, yeah, I'm good with just taking the big 3 that we needed to get. Again, unfortunately, Michael Matheson, the casualty. But for now, we look forward here. We have plenty of cap space to work with. And like I said, forward core-wise, we're good. I mean, yeah, we need to sign Denisenko, but then you look at the top 9, which is Heponiemi up. Trocheck can be traded at any time. I mean, we are so good to go for when the defensemen need to be signed, for when, ultimately Spencer Knight has to be signed. So I'm going to try to sign Denisenko to a 1-year deal here just to kind of keep contract control. We're going to go 8.375 and see if he's good with that. And then Noel Acciari, I mean, I'm incredibly disappointed by your postseason effort, but you were still good in the regular season, and you're still pretty much the perfect option on that 4th line. I'm going to see if I can save a little bit of money here, dropping that down to $950. If he's willing to sign that, I'm willing to keep him. And then again, Anderson's going to go. So we'll see what happens here. Like I said, I'm 99% sure our head coach already retired. Nope, but his contract is up. So there you go, Johnny Iverson. We're going to be letting him go, ideally, and bringing in hopefully another highly rated coach, as both Denisenko and Acciari sign their new deals. We need a coach that gels a little bit better with the defense that we have. So again, Craig Anderson, love you, but you got to go, as Valine will be signing his ELC. Defensively, Allard can be dropped. Obviously, again, we're not going to be signing David. Love Austin Strand, but I'm going to drop him for now, too. And then on the wings, Bobby Ryan can go. Lowe needs to sign his ELC. Left-hand side, Spurgeon we're not going to sign, of course. Trevor Lewis is on the way out, and then there's Commodore. So we're already good to go. We have $10 million to spend if we need to, which we don't. But yeah, no, we're looking great. We're looking great. And then again, like Heponiemi's deal is up next year. Borgstrom's deal will be up. Denisenko and Tippett are up next year. So it's a good thing that we have this money available because, yeah, and Ekblad's deal is up next year as well. It's a very big offseason next year. Good thing is we still have, the RFA status for some of these guys. We have that contract control. So we're not going to be in panic mode heading into the next offseason. It's gigantic that Bobrovsky retired. That's huge. That helps so much because that gives us another year of Vinny Trocheck. Although clearly now $10 million to sign, Bobrovsky's still here. Trocheck would have had to go. So it's a big thing. And then even then, Matheson, being gone, yeah, Vinny would have had to go. So instead of losing Vinny Trocheck, we keep an elite third-line center, we move a defenseman, and that opens up room on the back end for us. Now, Austin Matthews is a free agent. I want to look at the goalies first, though. I am intrigued. Jared Ottinger is there. Or not Jared Ottinger, Jake Ottinger. As an RFA, though, UC Saros is looking for a shitload of money. That actually kind of scares me over what the asking price is going to be for a certain goalie of ours. Now, we need a veteran who is still half decent by AHL standards. And you know what? We're going with James Reimer. We're going to bring Reimer back to Florida. He can be the backup goaltender down in the AHL. For defensemen, I at least want to see the top options that are out there, which includes Hannafin, D'Angelo. Is that Ty Smith? It's an RFA, so it must be. Yeah, it is. Vince Dunn, Darnell Nurse, Brady Shea. But again, we're good to go. We don't need to spend the big money on defense here. We're good to go with who we have. The question is whether or not there are any prospects. And the answer, unfortunately, is no. At least none that I would prefer to bring in. Do we have any medium top 6 prospects? Gianni, is that Gianni Fairbrother? It is. It'd be nice to bring him in, but he's an RFA. So that kind of sucks. I was going to offer him this deal. I'm sure Montreal will match it, but why not? We might as well see if the Habs let go of him for some reason. Terrence Cruz. Might as well sign this guy for the hell of it. We're going to need some AHLers. Send him that little bit of extra money to try and encourage him to sign. And then, yeah, there's nobody else. So, forward-wise, let's take a look. Again, Austin Matthews, Aho, Athanasiou, Evgeny Dadonov still out there, Max Comtois, Alex Ovechkin, Claude Giroux, both free agents as well, but it's nobody really that we ultimately need. Although in terms of prospects now, I can't help but wonder. Low top 6, of course, is such a horrific potential that I would rather go for medium or high 9s. And are there any players available is the question that are young enough that they could still end up being better. 24 years old is kind of like the tail end of improvement. Is that Connor? Nope, not Connor Hall. Curtis Hall of the Bruins. Okay. Connor Hall, I think, was a defenseman that was drafted by Pittsburgh. But anyway, throw him an offer. See if he'll sign. I'm sure the Bruins will retain him. Killinen. Just send him a max deal to see if he signs. Good old Lenny. 22 Hatcher. Yeah, 67 though. So we have 5 offers out. That'll bring us up to 39 contracts. So pretty much just got to piece together the rest of the team. I think we're pretty much set. I mean, in a way you want to say, like, why are we bringing back the same team when they collapsed in the playoffs? But again, Barkov, Huberdeau, Tippett, Denisenko, Borgstrom, Heponiemi, Trocheck, Hutsko, Hunt, and then Achari. Between Achari, Schwint, Hauerluck, and Noel, we're going to find ourselves a 4th line. And then someone like Poo and Ong, they're either going to be AHL specialists or potentially traded. I mean, we are going to have to bring in some other people, and then again, our defense pretty much speaks for itself. Riley Stillman will hopefully be the healthy scratch. So we're going to need a decent amount of defenders and forwards still brought into this team. So the one thing to really check now is the coaching staff. First thing I want to do is double check scouts, as we have a couple of spots available to bring in the top options. Let's see if we can send a deal out to Trinity Shea. Good old Trinity. Simon Robitaille. Are there any real-world options? There are not. So Devin Adamski, the Adamski, and Serge Wallet. The Ule. And for coaches, we need an NHL head coach. Oh, God. Okay, I don't know why that bar put me in the middle. I was horrified for a second. Here we go. So we had Iverson, who was a generalist, which is what I wanted. Have an associate that's offensive and an assistant that's defensive. So, I mean, Iverson had a phenomenal run with us. Absolutely phenomenal. Again, this is essentially Coach Q. But he just doesn't gel well, and I'm afraid others might not either. So hold on, we can judge this, right? Yeah, so defense, he likes hold line and balanced. Jaspers is probably our guy. Balanced and balanced. That will at least give a better shot of our young players working. So he's more of a PK guy than a power play guy. His teaching isn't the best, but his influence is really good. I think Dakota Jaspers here is going to be our next head coach, who started off in Boston, so I guess technically it's supposed to be Bruce Cassidy. He ended up going to Buffalo. So we are going to throw all the money in the world at his face. Maybe not the entire bar's worth, but let's go with that for now, and then if I have to jump cut, I will. And then goalie coach-wise, we look at teaching and 2Ds. It's going to be one of these two. And I think we're going to go for the guy who's asking for a little bit more, and Radek Brendel to be our new NHL goalie coach. Hopefully that goes through. So we shall see what the new coaching situation is. We have 99 chemistry for our current staff between Jeffrion and Bordelot, which again, offensive, defensive. That's normally the way I like to set it up. The AHL, though, we end up with a generalist coach, but I mean, you see the grades for AHL coaches, it's stupid. But that's what you get to do when owner mode's off and you can just throw money at people. It's tedious enough that I should be rewarded by being able to do that for having to sit there and wait for the numbers to scroll. Shea has signed on as a scout, as has Robitaille and Ole. Brendel's on as our goalie coach. Do we have a new head coach to speak of? We do. So Dakota Jaspers, A+ grade, is our new head coach. James Reimer and Terrence Cruz have both signed. So the coaching staff now has 79 chemistry. But in terms of the grades, again, now we have Jaspers, Bordelot, and Jeffrion leading the way. Jaspers has won 2 Stanley Cups in Buffalo, and we just stole away the head coach for the team that has beaten us multiple times now. So 53% scheme fit scares me. I know that was the lowest number of the bunch. That does scare me a lot. And I know this could backfire, but I was mainly looking at the defense, of course, and seeing how, it kind of lined up. So we'll see how well that works out for me, and just how well it works out for these chemistry boosts that a lot of people think don't do a damn thing anyway. Right? Right. So what we're going to do, let's send out a couple of offers to some vets to help fill out this roster, mainly on the AHL side of things. Just bring in vets for one more run. So Brent Seabrook, give you a contract for the year. Chris Russell, let's give you a contract for the year. Yannick Weber, can sign him up. Luke Shen, Sign him up as well. Greg Paterin. Sign him up. Habs legend, of course. Matt Donovan. An AHL legend. That brings us up to apparently 9 contracts out right now. Let's hold off. That might be all the defensive spots that we need. I didn't think we were going to get to the entire offseason, but here we are. Adamski signed. Killinen signed as well. Curtis Hall has signed. Fairbrother stayed in Montreal, even though we offered him the max deal. There we go. There's Lenny. So we'll see whether or not Hall ends up signing with us. I forgot about those. And yeah, the Bruins matched the deal for Hall. But you're welcome, Curtis. Getting you a better paycheck. Seabrook, Russell, Paterin, Weber, Shen, and Donovan all sign. Again, just bringing in some vets to bolster up the AHL lineup. Not to, built for to. Let's see. So defense again. Paterin can be there. That's fine. Then we have Kessler. So the AHL would be Stillman, Gilden, Seabrook, Russell, Alos, Shen, Weber, Donovan. So yeah, we just need a couple of forwards to help fill out the roster. And we are good to sim to the start of next season to see what this team is going to look like, particularly now in terms of chemistry, now that we have a new head coach, and how are certain players going to fit on certain lines compared to how they fit before. That'll be the question. So we're going to sign Ilya Kovalchuk, send him to the AHL. Ryan Stoa, I like you, buddy, but I think we're going to hold off. We're also going to sign Bobby Ryan. And Trevor Lewis will also be back. That brings us to 46. Matt Zuccarello is number 47. Frolik. Yeah, let's sign Frolik in maroon. Why not? We're pretty much good to go anyway. There we go. And we are good to go. I will take a look at the free agent class, which is something that, of course, as every series goes on, I forget to do more and more consistently. But we will scroll through here fairly quickly. See guys like Comtois gone. DeAndre Miller stays in New York. Nurse stays in Edmonton. Vince Dunn to the Kings. Ottinger stays in Dallas. Hannafin went to San Jose. Go figure. Austin Matthews to Washington. Sebastian Aho to Philadelphia. So some big-time movements in the Eastern Conference at this stage. Maybe a shift in power, especially in the Metro. So let's go ahead and sim here. Chris Kreider and Jake Allen dealt to San Jose. I totally just dropped my controller. It's a rarity that it happens, but it did. Uh-oh. My right bumper's jammed. You might have just heard me, break a controller live. That might have happened. Uh-oh. Hey, there we go. We unstuck the button. We're good. Every single one of those vets that we looked to sign did indeed sign. So we are good to go. Whole bunch of deals going down here that we are not involved in. All of our dealings are already taken care of. New head coach. Bob is gone. Of course, Matheson was dealt. Thought he was dealt again there for a second, but that was a random goalie prospect. Some big-time changes. But also, in a way, the core stays the same. There was only so much that we really needed. Now, I get it, right? You're like, oh, stick with the core, but you changed the lines in the playoffs. It's like, well, we were still dealing with the same personnel pretty much, right? I mean, with the exception of being like, okay, a young defenseman got swapped out and a young goalie got swapped out, and the fourth line changed a bit. For the most part, though, it was still, obviously, like Ekblad, Sergachev, the top line. That didn't change. I mean, the units did, but, Jesus, I don't know. I'm still just so disappointed that we lost, but now we get to move on. And this is the team. It is Spencer Knight, Lucas Dostal. And to be honest, Justice and Wallin is a 1-2. That's not that bad. We'll stick with that. But Dostal gets to be the backup this year. Defense is now Sergachev, Ekblad, Morrow, Smirnov, Connolly, and we will be calling up Kessler. And I'm going to go with Riley Stillman, maybe? Maybe we'll have Greg Paterin. Good old Greg. as the option. Have Stillman, Gilden, Alos, and then from there just have the random vets. Cruz being in would be nice, but yeah, maybe we'll just let Stillman and Gilden actually play instead of sit there. We can have Patarin sit around. And then forward-wise, Huberdeau, Barkov, Tippett, Denisenko, Borgstrom, Heponiemi, Trocheck, Hutsko, Hunt, and a fourth line that is not going to include Hayden or Maroon, but will probably include Saron Noel unless we give up on him, because it's looking like a combination of Schwint, Hauerluck, Acciari, and Noel. And again, I really like Cole Schwint. I think he deserves an opportunity to see what he can do. Hauerluck can play. We have the option of immediately trading Saron Noel, and I guess the best thing to do right now is to go look at his value because he didn't improve at all. It's probably for the best to cash out on him, if we're being 100% honest, as much as that sucks. But again, with potentials, that's just, certain players don't develop this year, even if they have really good potentials by standards that everyone else, every other year, they're good potentials. But I mean, we're barely even looking at a second rounder at this point. The time to trade him was at the draft, so we might as well at least see what he can do, right? Might as well. Which brings this situation to: do we have Hauerluck at center, take out Noel Acciari? Or do we... Who basically sits on the fourth line? Do we see what that combination on the fourth line can do? Or do we leave in Acciari and take out somebody else? Let me know. Again, though, the rest of the team from there is already decided, which is not surprising to anybody. Denisenko, though, actually is listed as a first liner. So we have a decision there as well. Do we run Denisenko on the top line? We don't have to. Power play time can keep him happy. But I mean, that top six is disgusting. This team in general, that forward core is still disgusting. And I mean, I might have to change up some player types, but for the most part, the chemistry's on point. The third line fits together really well. And then defensively, we're at least at even. We have an elite top pairing. And then defensively, I mean, who has the best shot? Probably Smirnoff. So I think we go Conley, Smirnoff, Morrow, Kessler. And then again, the goaltending, Spencer Knight improved. I mean, so yeah, really, we just have to decide kind of what we want these combos to be. Because at least they're all balanced now. And that top unit fits together so well. To be honest, if we had Sergachev as an OFD and Ekblad as a DFD, they'd probably get the +5. But it's not really necessary. So again, it's just a question of who sits on that fourth line. Who's the healthy scratch? Out of the members of that fourth line, do we just rotate it until we see if we find a combination? But no real surprise. The team stays the same. We lose Matheson. We lose Bobrovsky. But this team is still set up to be competitive this year. And we'll see whether or not an A+ rated coach is able to lead this team to victory. Hopefully they do. I mean, we have decent enough depth as well. See if I can get Cruz in there for Shen without it being a negative. That's a big time positive. And then forward-wise, is anyone scratched who shouldn't be? Lowe, Sparks, and Hedin. All right, well, we're going to have to change that. So, sorry to Michael Frolik. You need to take a seat. Sorry to one Bobby Ryan. But you are also going to have to take a seat. Next lowest rated is Mats Zuccarello. We'll be out for Xavier Lowe. And I think it's going to be Covey. Hate to say it, but I think Kovalchuk's out too if we had a center, which we didn't. So Kovalchuk lives to see another day. So pretty good. Pretty good. Let's get these guys up on higher lines. And with that, nope, okay, Antila will stay on the second line. So again, the AHL team, it's a mix of still, having some younger guys who might make something of themselves, and a combination of veterans. The NHL team is still absolutely stacked. It's just kind of who stays, who goes in terms of who starts in the lineup. But just to get you a look as we end this episode, at the ratings for this team. 96, 91, and an 80. We are still absolute cup contenders. The regular season, of course, does not matter. It's all down to the playoffs. So let me know what you think. Did we make the right moves in letting go of Matheson? You can ring the bell 10 times for Sergei BobGONEsky. That contract is finally gone. Did we make the right call on the head coach that we brought in? And kind of who stays, who goes in terms of that fourth line? And who we're going to run as a scratch. I don't think we're going to bother trading Sarah Noel, though, at this point. So I thank you very much for watching. You know the deal. Drop a like on the video. Support me, support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Anything you do beyond just watching the video in the first place is, of course, greatly appreciated. Check out everything in the description. Again, the links to everything, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Patreons, the Discords, and a shout out to those patrons, by the way. I will see you guys later. And, of course, Twitch, because I stream every night. Been playing NCAA Football 13. It's been a blast. You can also find the video on demand, the VODs, the VODs for Twitch. Some audio gets muted because of copyrighted music, but yeah, for the most part, you can always watch streams as well if you're done watching videos, but I stream too late or too early for you. Yeah, there's always more content there on the Twitch side, and of course on Patreon. I love you. I will see you next time. How are we going to do this year? Great regular season, losing the playoffs again? That might be my prediction.